my old pal is back once again.
We're here.
Yeah, man. It's good to have you back. So we've been talking about this for a while, so I'm glad you're here.
It's good to be back. Also, everything is upgraded since we did the last podcast, so
yeah,
it helps.
Yeah,
you know?
Yeah, for sure, man. Yeah, a lot has changed since the last time we did this with the podcast and just in general, right?
Yeah, I mean,
you only had one podcast the last time we did.
You only have one podcast.
Yeah.
How long ago was that? 2 years?
That's at least 2 years ago, I think, right? It was like the winter. Maybe it's not fully 2 years, but it's close.
We filmed it in like January. Because it was right after Kilmer's episode. But we didn't put it out until May, I believe. Because it was technically for your podcast.
Okay.
And then, but we shot video for it, which we used for our YouTube. Because at that point, you were only audio.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Working on more of that.
Yep.
Yeah, we were, it's got to be close to.
I just moved home. I was going through a rough patch in my life.
we went through a lot of that too.
Yeah, that was a long conversation. A long conversation that was very detailed.
Many bathroom breaks.
Yeah.
That's what that was.
Mm-hmm.
But I mean, not for nothing. It's if you look at it, completely different stages of all three of our lives, and still a building stage of kind of, I would say, each one of us is like, yo, I want to be here. And now we're here like almost 2 years later.
Yeah.
Significant steps in everybody's journey, right?
Absolutely.
And we talked about this like, what was it, a couple weeks ago or a month ago? It's just like, yo, we are not where we want to be, but significantly better.
Yeah, exactly. On the right track.
Yeah, I think that's huge.
Mm-hmm.
So.
No, yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, so why don't, I'm sure that the people who will listen to this one have listened to your old one, but why don't you give a little recap of like your background in podcasting and kind of like what you've been up to lately with your newest venture that I know you've been putting a fuck ton of work into.
Yeah. So I would say I started a podcast 2016 after I was...
And you're coming up on 10 years.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
10 years is coming. And the weird thing is only 100 episodes because I only did like one per month. So it was more quality over quantity type of thing.
Yeah.
I want better quality of the people I'm bringing in. Mm-hmm. And I didn't get I tried out for a radio morning station and I never got it. And when I didn't get it, that's when it was like, it flipped in my head. I was just like, I was kind of upset because there's 47 contestants. They said they were going to choose one. They chose two. I was the top three, so I was the man out. And that's when I was like, I literally was asking God. I was like, why put me in this situation? Why am I here? What's the point of this?
Why put me so close? Yeah.
Yeah, just to fail. Mm-hmm. And it was something that came along that was just like, I don't want you talking about that. I want you like focusing on something even better. So I started changing, and I reached out to the people that kind of owed me favors. So, you know, hey, can you build this logo or this or that? And then things started coming together. So Iconical came out, and then when I started doing that, that's when I was like, you know what, I kind of want to make it into a clothing line as well, because I want people to feel good on the inside when you're talking about, you know, everything, including mental health or your best story or, you know, your journey. I want you to feel as good on the inside, expressing that on the outside. So started making hoodies with good quality, you know, shirts with good quality, and then sweatpants with good quality. And I wanted to keep it around that basis of feeling good inside and out. So
yeah, you kind of went the opposite way too, because what a lot of people do is they build a podcast and then they create merch for it.
Yeah.
You created a podcast, created a clothing brand, and then used the clothing brand and meshed that into your podcast.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah, I completely did it backwards.
Yeah.
But, you know.
No, but that's very you. You know what I mean? That's like,
I'm always thinking when everybody's zagging, dude.
Yeah.
Like, if everybody's going right, I'm going to go left just to see the empty tunnel.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
But then after a while, I remember talking to you guys about like, there's 100th episode coming up and I kind of don't know what I want to do with it, or if I just kind of just go right through it, right? Mm-hmm. And then an idea came from my buddy in Texas, who we've been training to become not necessarily NFL scouts, but scouts trained by NFL GMs. And they have been training us for probably 2 years, 3 years, different people in analytics classes for football. And we've been to Rutgers and Princeton, UConn, and all these other places to look at NCAA players coming in. And football was always a passion. It's always been a passion. I've always had an insecurity when I was in high school and middle school trying out because I never thought I was good enough. But I always understood football. I understood exactly how to play it, what to do. And finally, when I got into these classes, everything just kind of brightened up. And I was like, I can do something with this. This is easy for me to talk about. It's easy for me to see if this person's going to make it in the NFL or they're not, or what they have to work on. He came to me with a blueprint after we met at the Combine in Indianapolis. And he said, I have an idea. Can we do X, Y, and Z? And I said, I think we can do that. And basically it is NFL news, analysis, predictions, and now we're actually moving up to film. So we're going to break down film. And we just invested a shit ton of money into helping this grow, which I kind of took a hiatus on Iconical, which will be coming back. So I'm going to be juggling both. But I want this to be the plan A.
Sure.
Both podcasts. They're going to be plan A's. To leave what I'm doing now.
Yeah.
So,
and I think that's always kind of been a theme running through ours. Like our podcast is something that, like, turning something that you're passionate about into a career and not feeling guilty about it.
Yeah.
How do you feel like was there like a moment where you said to yourself, like, wait, like this could be something I like and be something that I build a career out of? Like, did you not like because I think what a lot of people worry about is they like something and then they don't want to turn it into their career necessarily because of the fact that, will I lose the spark for it?
Never that I would lose the spark for it. I'll tell you what it is. It is the surrounding of feeling comfortable around negativity. Whether that's your friends, whether that's your family, whether that's the whomever, right? That has made you feel comfortable about staying in a spot where the mosquitoes come because you've sat there for so long. All right, stagnant water, right? But it doesn't feel like you can do it because you're supposed to get this job and keep it for 40 years and then retire. And then that is the only thing that has held me back from saying that, oh, I want this to be my plan A, not my plan B, because we were all grown up a certain way, right? I think we've all been through this, whether that's religion, whether that's a job, whether that's who you're supposed to date, who you're not supposed to date. We've all been through it. That's the only thing that would hold me back. But not ever losing the passion for talking to somebody, right? I could never lose the passion for sparking a conversation. I can never lose the passion for football. Those are just there. So that, I think, knowing that I'm on my own path and I've already spoken to people, like, I'm not going to keep this job forever. I'm going to go do this. And I know that sounds fucking nuts.
Yeah.
Right? But that's what I'm going to do because you only have one life, 80 years if we're fucking lucky. And it's a blue tape if we're going to compare that to eternal life, depending on what we believe in it as in an afterlife. So
guy's gonna be scouting like angels on the football field.
Well, got angels in the outfield, right? So
they did make an angels in the backfield.
Did they?
Yeah, not as good.
Angels in the end zone.
Actually, that's probably a better title.
Yeah, probably.
Yeah,
it might have actually been that, and I might have just.
You might have just
angels in the backfield. Either or.
Yeah, and that's something that has always like fascinated me about you, because of the fact that you never seemed held back. You always seemed confident in the fact that I could make a career out of being me. And I really, really admire that about you. So what is it about football, or what is it about like that brings you the most joy? Because I think that, like I said, it could be easy that once a bunch of money gets involved, other people get involved, bottom lines, blah, 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 that could go away. Like, what is it about it that you enjoy and that you lean into because how many fucking times have you and I called each other? You call me and I'm like, yeah, man, I got some work to do. You call me and you're like, hey man, yeah, no, I'm working on this thing. Like I know, because I know how much you prioritize that. And I know that you work your full-time job and then you go home and you edit more videos. You put more things together. You're learning stuff
and I have not even found out how to edit everything like the way that you guys do, or the way that Bryce does. Okay. Yeah. Like you guys are on point with a bunch of stuff,
Thank you.
And I'm sitting here, I'm just like, yeah, it looks great, right? Now I'm like, fuck, I got a lot of work to do.
Yeah, right?
But I would say, repeat that question again. Squirrel.
This is how our last conversation went. No, I would say that when that voice in your head is saying, like, what's the point of doing these things? Or why am I doing this? Blah, blah, blah. This is hard. I don't want to do this. What do you remember about what you love about it? Or what do you lean into that keeps you going after you've worked a 10-hour day to go home and edit those videos that you know damn well you don't want to fucking do?
I would say I could be dead tired. And if my business partner, Christian, shout out to Christian Whisk down in Texas, if he starts talking to me about football, there's something that just lights up.
Yeah.
Okay, there's something that just doesn't turn off. I could be dead tired and all of a sudden stats will just start spitting out. Or I could tell you about his hip flexion, his ankle flexion. I'm telling you, you know what I mean?
Are you a physical therapist? Are you a physical therapist?
No, I can tell you no names of what these muscles are. Okay?
Yeah.
But you can definitely tell like whether or not somebody's gonna make it or not. Or, immediately my brain goes to, oh, this guy was great. Yeah, but he faced, some of the worst defenses in college, and this is the next step up. So let's try to look at this from another angle.
Why not just a jab at Zach Wilson right now?
It's terrible. Terrible. I did not want Zach Wilson.
Oh, I got
to tell you.
Really? No way.
Nope. You don't say.
Wow, really? Hindsight is 2020, huh?
Played at BYU, and his biggest game was against Coastal Carolina, which he lost.
And by the way, and this is what nobody wants to see, okay, is the fact that it was a COVID-driven schedule, which means they were scrounged together a bunch of teams that just like, oh, we'll play you. Yeah, they're not even ranked. They're nowhere near ranked. Of course you're going to just
BYU wasn't even good.
No, they had a decent O-line, and but when you have a decent O-line matched up against a very...
Wow, is that the year that he was drafted, the COVID year?
Well, that's when he played that.
He was the starter at BYU in
That's
2020.
when he had like 45 touchdowns.
BYU
like
also at that time was in a garbage conference because realignment hadn't started yet. So they were literally playing nobodies, and then they're trying to find other nobodies to play because of COVID.
Yeah, because nobody wanted to, we're not going to travel there.
Michigan didn't come to Ohio State.
No.
Yeah, there was a lot that happened.
Still bitter about it.
So that ended our winning streak.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, those are the kind of stats that I look at. Those are the kind of things that I look at. I'm like, I'm not buying in on this if that's what we're gonna look at. And sometimes it really gets me kind of, I don't want to say aggravated, but it gets me a little bit confused on why people in the industry can't look at this and say the same thing. I'm just a dude over here in Newburgh, New York. That's it. But yet you're gonna draft this kid number 2 overall. Really? Nobody saw this coming?
Yeah.
Nobody saw it. How many teams has this kid been on now?
Yeah. What effect do you think, especially in something like that, does, I don't know exactly, but it's almost like what I feel like happens with particularly maybe not just the NFL, but with sports in general, with draft picks, is that one person says that they like this person, or one person says that this person sucks, and then people just hop on that bandwagon, and people are afraid to go against that
because they feel like they're part of a community that is just yes. And once you're part of that community, you could just rest easy that your answer is correct. We said Shedeur Sanders was falling out of the first round.
You said that?
We did.
Yeah.
Me and Christian
I
solidified
knew he wasn't
that.
gonna be a good pick.
We also said that the Giants were going to beat the Chargers 2 weeks ago. We also said that the Dolphins,
when they hadn't won a game yet.
yeah, and the Chargers undefeated. Okay, we stand by, like, we're brutal with some stuff, and we stand by it. You're wrong. Yeah, we were wrong. We were wrong, but we were right on this, and this.
Yeah, it means that much more when you are right about something.
It, like, in that,
I mean, you're not a fucking fortune teller.
no. We look at some stats. We see what we see. We're just like, we don't know, you know. But yeah, it's like to be in a lane with everybody else. You know, Stephen A. You know, who all these guys, right? I'll push back on it. I'll definitely push back on it.
I would love to see you in a debate with Stephen A. Smith. That's what this podcast should have been. You should have been Skip Bayless. I should have been Stephen A. Smith debating Brian.
I'm not being Skip Bayless.
No, but I mean, yeah.
Who would you want?
If I
to
want to make stupid opinions out loud, I'd be Paul Feynman.
I don't know if I could. I don't even know if I could stay in a room with Stephen A. Smith long enough. That guy's annoying.
Yeah,
he's so annoying. In my opinion.
No. It's entertainment, right? He's not.
I
really,
mean, that's the whole point.
Yeah. What? Going in that direction, like. Because then on the other end of it, I think that what exists in a lot of, like, particularly sports stuff is people just have hot takes for the sake of saying it. Because now we don't live in a world where you want to be correct. People just want to live in a world where you get views on something, right?
Yeah, clickbait.
Yeah, for sure.
On radio.
Yeah. Yeah. Right, like people will say outlandish, silly things about whatever sport or whatever, because it'll get 2 million views. Yeah. And then when the game happens, it's the exact opposite, or it wasn't even close, or it wasn't even accurate, or whatever. But they're like, well, I got my views, so who cares?
Yeah.
What's your take on that?
You're going to crash and burn quickly.
Tell that to Stephen A. Smith.
Yeah.
Still got a job.
Yeah, he does.
No, I know you're right. No, but like, people don't respect him as much because he did that for so long, right? Yeah. He just like was like hot take after hot take after hot take. Yeah. And then it's just like, you're just saying stuff because you want to argue with the other side or whatever.
Absolutely.
Right.
There was actually something that me and Christian talked about recent, and it was something like that. And it's basically this management company that we work with helping us to get us to where we need to be right now, saying we need to come up with some ideas to do X, Y, and Z. And they gave us a couple ideas, and I came up with a few and gave it to him, and he came up with a few, gave it to me. And I said, hey, what if we did X, Y, and Z, and with the extra money, we'll buy another thing ready to go for, you know, another raffle, whatever it may be, right? And I guess I explained it wrong. And the way that he had said it, he was like, wait, so it's just kind of like a money grab? And I was like, no. But the way that I answered it and the way that he said it to me let me know that we're both on the same page. No, this isn't about money or just clickbait or nothing like that. Like, this isn't, he's like, oh, okay, good. Because that's how you know you have a partner that's on the same page, where you don't want to put stuff out like that just gives people to click. Yeah. Because we look at titles, even though the title can be rated so high in like YouTube and all this other stuff, we're like, yeah, but that's not what we're talking about.
Interesting.
We'll change it because
I respect your integrity. You know who doesn't have that? WPD.
JP.
Yeah.
Whoa. Hey.
I mean, you're right. WPDA.
Bro, you ever see their articles?
This dude's been talking about this shit for a week. Go ahead.
No, I'm not talking about it.
Go ahead. You brought it up. You just brought it up twice.
It was on topic. There's not a lot of journalistic integrity going on anymore.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of the question I asked you too, which is that like people don't give a shit. Yeah. Exactly, right?
I mean, it's for the clicks, it's for this, it's for that, but soon enough you're gonna have to pay the piper because somebody's gonna call you out on it, even if it's a big name. So the higher and higher
this guy will call you out on it.
Right? No, and that's the thing. The higher you go, the more notice that you get. Somebody's gonna see that is on the cameras that are on. Be like, no, but you already said this and that and that and this, but like that, something's off here.
Yeah.
Eventually you'll get called out. So if you're gonna stand by something, be like, yo, yeah, I was wrong. Okay, cool. I think that's where somebody would be like, yo, come on in then, rather than, you know, contradicting, you know. So
yeah.
I give you a lot to think about there, huh?
You always give me a lot to think about.
All right, but I want to hear this PDH thing.
Always. Yeah, you got to tell him. You got to tell him, bro. You got to tell him. Who
It's part of
cares?
our
You brought it up
childhood.
twice.
Dude, it's part of our childhood, all of us.
They always post articles online.
This is like what people get us the most views, bro.
Specifically on Facebook, and it's just like popular place shuts its doors, popular restaurant closes, and they're never fucking popular places.
You're not wrong.
They're never
See?
popular. They're never busy. It's just to get the views.
You want to go fuck him up right now? Like,
I was on WPDH radio once, and now it just lowers the.
He's just like, you know what's gone ever since I was on that radio show.
Quality's just
No
gone
integrity.
down. They're not holding up their end of the deal.
and then he went on Facebook and commented on their thing.
Blasted them.
And was just like, this wasn't a popular place. I live across the street. It just fucking opened. What are you talking about?
I'm gonna come after you. They always comment. New place on the waterfront and suddenly closes. The Newburgh waterfront hasn't been nice in 7 fucking years. Of course, it closed.
that's fair.
See?
That's more
Aren't you glad you got that off your chest?
I didn't need to go on that rant right now. We're talking about sports. I could have easily gone down a million other ones.
Yeah.
No, but I can't wait for somebody to say Gully's reopening. Have you seen Gully's? The tent is all ripped up and
Shit
seagulls
burned
are
down. Like,
yeah,
yeah.
that's great.
Yeah, exactly. I'm glad you got that off your
I'm
chest.
actually happy. You know what?
Yeah,
Kudos,
exactly.
man.
Yeah.
I got your back. Bro.
Yeah.
I'm just
See, like,
saying, in the field, like it's relative to the field that you're talking about, like that's something that I feel like he said. A lot of people are just like, what's going to get the most plays and the most views, and like that's what they care about. And it's hard to find like. It's refreshing when you see a conversation like that. Like if you guys are doing a clip on take somebody like I'm trying to think of somebody right now. Like, is Derrick Henry cooked? Let's go there right now.
Yeah.
Like
It's a great place to go.
You look at who he is historically, and like, yes, this is a cooked year so far because he's fumbled. Crazy, right?
Hasn't been that bad.
That's what we make Derrick Henry's cooked because he dropped the ball 3 times, like, and that doesn't happen, you know.
Yeah.
But like, there's ways to approach that article where it's like, Derrick Henry's just garbage now, and that like that's your headline, and you're just attacking like that. And then there's realistic ways to go about it, which is like what you guys would do, where you're breaking it down and like, let's go through this. Is he really cooked or not? Like,
And
you know,
and stuff like that. You would add the age, right? Because right now he's an anomaly.
Yeah.
Right. You can't bet against him until he proves that he's falling. Is he falling right now? Yeah. Did he have a 120 something yard game yesterday? He did. Yesterday he did.
and they put up 3 points.
And I still benched him in my fantasy. You want to know why? Because I put somebody in that had damn near 200 yards.
Yeah.
That is a secondary running back. That's the way you got to play that fantasy game, right? But is he cooked? Probably not. But his average is still better than most running backs. So we're going to see how that goes. A third of the season's already gone, right? It does go by age. He is a monster. He's huge. Something just isn't going right with that whole team, too. So what's going on in the locker room? That's what we would look at. What's happening in the locker room over there? Why is it not working? Why are they 2-4 or 1-4 now? Or 1-5, whatever
They're
it
on
is.
5 now. Yeah.
Yeah.
Wow.
I mean, we called that the Los Angeles Rams were going to come into Baltimore yesterday and give them a shellacking. It's exactly what happened. Like there's something going on over there. They can't get it together. They can't run. They have, I can't tell you how many defensive players hurt. And it's just not working. But I wouldn't want to try and tackle him if we're talking personally. Like, that dude's 250 pounds. So I think he gets back on board. But the way I would word that in something, is it time to worry about Derrick Henry? Is aging starting to occur with Derrick Henry? Those are legitimate questions that you could, somebody might click on that. That's not clickbait. That's an actual thought process that I think people should think about, because he hasn't had a down year yet. And this is the beginning of something that we've never seen, is something that him just falling. So we'll see how that goes. But
Yeah.
I mean, he got stopped on have you ever seen him get stopped at the 1 yard line? He did yesterday.
I feel like you're asking the two wrong people. I feel like
no.
you would know that.
I mean, a lot of people don't see that. He got stopped yesterday.
No,
And I'm like,
he did, really? Oh, okay.
There's something.
See?
Yeah, I mean, there's more and more that just keeps adding up. Like, is this the year?
Yeah.
You know, so those kind of questions come into my mind when those questions from you guys come to me. It's like, yeah, I got about 30 questions myself. You know,
Yeah.
so.
Yeah, exactly. Right. And there's a balance in knowing your knowledge and feeling confident in this is the take that I want to put out there.
Yeah.
But also fully embracing the fact that like you can't see into the future. You have no idea. Right.
No.
And that like part of what you do is that you have to embrace it when you're wrong.
Yeah.
Right.
Absolutely.
And I think people have grown to respect that a lot on social media because of the fact that, like I said, most people will put stuff out there and they'll just never revisit the stuff where they were wrong, and they'll tune into the one thing where we were right. And I feel like that's something that you're good at in general, not just in that area, right? Like,
So there's something that we've done so far, and I'll start with the good and I'll go straight to the bad, right? So far, we did weekly picks and we took the Dolphins beating the Chargers, and we were wrong this week. We changed it with
sure.
injuries and stuff, right?
Yeah.
But in the beginning, we did all 32 teams. So far, we've hit I think 4 out of 5 with the Panthers, like straight on, and then 5 out of 5 with Miami. Predictions like a month or two ago,
yeah.
right? Or 2 months, 3 months ago. But then you got stuff that we just haven't hit on, right?
Yeah.
We put those up in our stories, along with the ones that we have made, right? To let them know we don't have all the answers.
No.
Because I think you guys know too, people are dying to tell you that you're wrong on the internet.
Mm-hmm. Really?
Tell me more.
No way, dude. Yeah. Yeah, exactly.
So
it's always the people who aren't putting anything out.
it usually is, right? So they're saving these videos, going over them to make sure that we're right or we're wrong. Nobody's coming back when
It's
we're right.
hard to put out the piece of content. It's easy to comment you're fucking wrong.
Oh, and you have to, with grace and being humble, you have to go back and tell them, yeah, you know what, we got that one wrong.
Yeah.
You know, we can't get them all wrong. So the ones that we do get wrong, we're like, yeah, you know, we messed up on this one, whatever, we were wrong.
Yeah,
Cool.
yeah.
We got 31 other teams we're looking at too, you know,
Yeah.
so.
What do you think about, like, you know, there's this like kind of joke in, because I also think it applies to just like regular reality in general though. There's kind of like this joke where when people do predictions or things like that, where if everybody picks the one team and it's like supposed to be a landslide, and then like the general trend is that like, well, when everybody thinks it's going to happen, then the opposite happens. What do you think about that? What is it, like, you know what I mean? Because everybody wants to point that out, but then nobody goes back when everybody was right.
Yeah, I mean, that's kind of happened with us recently. Nobody gave us any props for Giants beating the Chargers.
Yeah, you got to make sure you say the name of your thing too on here. You got to make sure you say the name of
podcast.
Yeah,
We're waiting for it.
yeah, yeah.
No.
He's gonna gatekeep his own fucking business.
Yeah. No.
Yeah.
The name of the football podcast is called Top Dog Coverage. So TOPDAWG coverage. All major platforms. Everything's the same. But yeah, I mean, you're not gonna get those. You just kind of have to take those humble wins and those, you know, gracious wins to yourself. You know, because nobody's gonna give you that. They're gonna give you were wrong on X, Y, and Z.
Yeah, it's that idea that like you said, when I bet you get a whole lot more comments on the videos where you're wrong.
Yeah.
Versus the one where you predicted it 100% right. Nobody's like, oh my God, no way, you got it all right. Everybody's like, you are a fucking idiot.
Yeah.
What is this?
Nobody wants to talk about right now that Mike McDaniels, the coach of the Dolphins, is ready to get fired.
Yeah.
He looks drunk again. Especially when you listen to him talk, I feel like he's just like back on the bottle.
Let me tell you, I've met that man twice.
Yeah.
Coolest guy.
Oh yeah.
He is the coolest guy. He's also our age, okay? But we said win for loss, exactly the ones they would win, and the one win I gave him was the one against the Jets, and that's the only one that they've won. And I said at this point, week 6 now, it's coming into week 6, week 7, this is when he's going to get fired.
Yeah.
Now, whether or not that happens now, I don't know. But so far, our predictions of how many they're going to win, and when I was like, yo, I think he lost, we put out a short yesterday about that. About, he's lost discipline. He's lost control of the team. Nobody wants to hear that. I mean, they're coming at us right now on social media. Like, are you serious? Yeah, they're 1-5.
Yeah.
You know, like,
yeah,
maybe it's time for a change.
Yeah.
Yeah. Absolutely.
If they lost to the Jets, he probably would have got fired. That would have been his UCLA loss.
Probably. Yeah. I mean, he's been there for however long, you know.
Is his third year?
Mike McDaniel now, he's got to be on like 7.
With Miami?
I think he's like 4 or 5, something like that. He's
Really?
He's up there.
Has it been that long?
They made the
in
playoffs.
in terms of NFL head coaches, especially with poor organizations, he's been there for a while.
Really? Huh.
I mean,
I didn't realize it was
he's
that
played Saleh a couple times when Saleh was on the Jets head coach. So, and they both came from like the Kyle Shanahan run the ball.
long. Yeah,
type
he
of
was the
thing.
49ers. Yeah.
Yeah.
Gotcha.
And but I mean, it's just one of those things where you're going to be wrong, you're going to be right. Nobody's going to acknowledge that you're right. You just got to take those and be like, hey, you know what? At least we know what we're talking about, and you just keep pushing it.
Yeah.
Some of the real gems out there are going to let you know. They'll be like, yeah, this dude knows what he's talking about.
Yeah.
And we believe that we do. We were taught by Mark Dominic, the GM from the Tampa Bay Buccaneers that drafted Levante David, okay? We were in those classes with him. We're still in classes with Phil Savage, who was a safeties coach under Bill Belichick during the Cleveland Browns era, okay? And sent him out to be a scout. And that's when he became a scout, is because Bill Belichick sent him out. So these classes that we go under, they're very attentive. They're very detailed. They're very, look for this, and this. Okay, cool. And these are still our mentors that we can call and say, hey, I have a question. I called Phil Savage the other day, or I texted him. I said, hey, question about, 11 personnel, 12 personnel, which is basically if you have a tight end lined up, right, and a running back in the back, that's called an 11 personnel. But my question was, if the tight end is still moving around, he's not set up as blocking, is that still considered 11 personnel? I said, yeah, because the tight end is still there. And the defense would have to adjust, whether man coverage, zone coverage, whatever it might be. But it's great to know that I can still ask these guys that, so I can still grow. So me and Christian can still grow. So top dog coverage can still move, So
Yeah.
And it's important to know these things too. So, but we're not done taking classes either.
Well, that was literally where I was going to take the conversation next, which is that like a lot of people, when they get around our age, they stop learning things. They feel like they've come enough, they get stuck in their ways. And you've always been, I'm taking this class, I'm learning this thing, I'm bringing this mentor on, I'm doing that. Why do you think that that's so important?
We don't have all the answers. Nowhere near. I think we've kind of all been in a place where we thought we did, right? Young, stupid, whatever it was, like we know, whatever.
Sure.
But then, Steve, you've gotten into meditation at one point and you fell in love with it, right? And you were like, no, dude, like this is amazing. You actually said I felt the best I've ever had, So it's like, I bet you dove into that learning, staying with an open mind, like, yo, dude, this is amazing, right? Dude, you've done so much with podcasting and editing, and you're just like, yeah, you've told me from the beginning this is what you wanted to do with, video of some sort, or writing,
brought us together as friends,
right?
Yeah.
So, and it's like you're always telling me that you're learning something new, and there's a lot of stuff I still don't know about football that is just kind of like, oh, that's what that means, and I'm never gonna understand the inside of a player because they've actually seen it on the field. That's one thing that I will never actually fully understand, but I play flag football and that's about it. You know what I mean? That's as close as I'm ever going to get to it. So I think...
You never know, man.
Oh, the one person
Fucking Vince Papali over here.
The one person that catches, that gives me all of the knowledge of being on the field is Cam.
Yeah.
You know, yeah.
Yes,
saw
yeah.
Cam. Okay.
Yeah.
Yo, that kid...
Years ago. years ago.
He still teaches me, yo, this is how you're going to stack a route. Or, you know, I'll do this. And he says, if my hips turn this way, he's like, that's, you know, and I get him. That's when I go the other way. I already got the corner. So I can just, you know, as soon as his hips turn, I'll go the other way. He's like, because I'll just beat him. He's like, it's really hard to turn your hips back around the other way in a matter of a half second. And I'm like, that makes sense. So it's really, it helps when you have a player teaching you too. So,
Yeah.
but I think it's important to constantly learn. Once you stop learning, that's the end of your journey, or that journey, I would say, because there's only so much that you can, you know, in my opinion, go without continuing to learn. There's always something to learn. I learned from an 86-year-old man who blocked for Jim Brown. He taught me about segregation, racism back in the 50s and the 60s. Was I expecting to learn that? Absolutely not. You know, absolutely not. But I had to learn that because there's more than just football that's involved in that. There's about caring for another person, caring for a teammate. You know, and understanding that even down in Texas, Dallas would be like, hey, don't come down here if you're going to play your Negro players. That's what he told me. That's what it was like back in the 60s. And I'm like, wait, what? And he was like, yeah, there's a lot that people don't understand that happened. So it's not just learning the football aspect, but also learning, you know, the player aspect and how it affected them in their real life too.
I've seen you play before.
Yeah.
And in a lot of ways, like you kind of just said, it's just like, you're not the most athletic one out there, but you know what the fuck you're doing. So in a lot of ways, there's dudes who show up there thinking they're going to cook you.
That happens a lot.
Or they underestimate you based on whatever. Oh, I never played whatever. And then because of your knowledge, you turn around and do that. Do you feel like you can apply that to other areas of your life too?
Yeah.
Like, do you like being underestimated?
I've always been underestimated. Always.
Yeah.
Starting from middle school, actually elementary school.
Unpack that.
That starts from first grade, dude. I still have a trauma in kindergarten. I'll start there real quick, but I'll make it fast, right? I remember that I just never got shit, okay? And this is how I'm going to relate this, because I get football. That's what puts me on fire for it. But you will have to explain something to me like a third grader for me to get it. If I'm gonna tell you that I don't understand it. Why? Because I remember shit in kindergarten when I'm supposed to be painting the pumpkin, but I'm painting the newspaper on the desk. It's funny now, right? Because like the whole newspaper is painted. The pumpkin's like, yo, what about me, right? Like,
So the newspaper was there to like protect the desk, and you were painting the newspaper instead of the pumpkin.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And yo, the kindergarten
Honestly,
teacher,
trying to make sense about him, right?
yeah. But that's she let me have it. She leaned in on
Really?
me, and she never did that. She was still one of the greatest kindergarten teachers ever. She could have been having a bad day. Who knows? You know what I mean? I don't know what was happening in her life. But then the next year, I failed first grade. So there's a pattern of something. I'm not getting something. Something is not clicking. I actually unpacked that this year. I found my first grade report card and my kindergarten, and all of it was like, yo, I can't sit still. I can't stop talking. I can't. No shit, right?
He's like, wait till podcasts come out. I'm going to crush this shit. Perfect. Perfect.
But I mean, that's kind of what it, you know, at that point, you get to see all of your kids at a young age, or all your friends at a young age move up. And then you're sitting there like, okay, I don't mind making new friends, but like in my head, all through elementary, all through middle school, I always thought that I should be with those people. So even when I tried out for sports, somebody actually told me at one point with football, they're like, don't try out for football, right? Because they already got their team and you're not good enough and you won't make it. And I believed them. I believed them. So I never did. I played Pop Warner like 1 year, and I was with a bunch of my friends, right? And they never played me. So in my head, even before high school, I had something in my head that's like, yo, I'm not good enough. That's why they're not playing me. I just had a bad coach. And it turns out that he was just like really mean and nasty to all the kids anyway. So I watched one of my friends get yelled at, who was a hell of an athlete, His dad came over who was like jacked and got in his face. And I was like, okay, so there's something going on here. He's just a bad coach. But in my head, I'm still like, no, I'm still not good enough to play. So I just stopped playing after.
Yeah, you don't have necessarily the brain capacity at that age to be like, this isn't just about me, right? You interpret it through the lens that you've perceived so far, and you've already got that history at first grade.
Yeah. So it's like building that mindset. So when I got to middle school, I never tried out. I tried out for the basketball team, and I made that. But that's because I had people behind me saying, no, you should try out for the basketball team. Even though other people were like, same kids on the football team. No, don't do that because you're not going to make it. So I didn't listen to that. And when I was out of high school, I finally was like, I wish I would have listened. So when I moved from one school to another school, you can only imagine if I wasn't already confident in my old school, what makes you think that I would be confident in a new school? Now you're the new guy, right? But I always had a sense of looking at the TV and be like, no, he's slower than most safeties, or he's slower than most running backs, or he doesn't have the athletic ability. I had that knack of seeing that. But when I got on the football field, I was athletic enough, right? I wasn't like crazy athletic or anything, but I was quick, long, lanky, strideful. I think that's a word I just made up. But I mean, they were like, dude, did you play in high school? I'm like, no. Did you play in like college at all? Well, if I didn't play in high school, why would I play in college? You know? But I'm able to play the game.
Yeah.
I wish I would have played insecurity though. Insecurity all the way from that point in kindergarten that just kept on moving up. So I never played.
Yeah.
But I feel confident in knowing that when I see a player and then I learn how to break it down, and the 3 key things from GMs of the NFL that taught me, this is what you're looking for. Absolutely. I could write a whole scouting report on each and every one of these guys. I can grade them, give them to you, and be confident to know that I'm right, that he is or not going to make it in the NFL.
And like, as long as I've known you, I think that you were at least on your way to conquering a lot of that insecurity. Was there like a time in between that, take the football out of it, where you kind of learned about the fact that, wait a second, like you ever hear that saying that like every negative thought that you've ever had comes from other people, and every positive thought that you've had comes from yourself?
Yeah.
Like, was there a time where you realized that helped you? Because like I said, I've known you for 7 or 8 years now.
Yeah.
And like, obviously what you see is not always what you get, especially when you're getting to know somebody. But like, what do you think helped you conquer that?
I would say 2 things. If I never started the Iconical podcast, that's one thing. And if I never stopped drinking, that's another.
There it is.
Okay. I think most of us can agree that we'll grab a substance that we can't get rid of, or we think that we can, but we can't, because we're trying to hide something. We're trying to push something down, And mine was, I would definitely say that it was like, I wanted to feel accepted somewhere, right? So I drank. But then I started to notice that the more I drank, the more that took away from the things I actually wanted to do to better my life, right? If I didn't stop drinking, Iconical would not be a podcast. It just wouldn't, because I wouldn't put in the time to do it. Now I have a lot more, work to do to jump back on that and handle top dog coverage. Like, that's what we're going to do. I'll tell you right now, if drinking was there, it would be impossible. It's not doable. So I would say that am I answering that question correctly?
I think you're on your way to it. Yeah, absolutely.
Okay.
Yeah.
What was this? I think there's a main point that I'm missing in that question, though.
No, man. I think you're answering it very well. I think you realized, like, I kind of asked you, how did you confront that insecurity and what did you start doing to battle against it?
Okay.
And it sounds like you quit drinking and that opened up a lot more possibilities. And like, I think you and I can both relate to the fact of when you do stuff like that, you will lie to yourself about, I don't have time to do this, or I can't learn this, or I'm already this way.
Yeah.
And then when you stop, it opens you up to the reality of where your time goes and where your energy goes.
It also it helped me to understand what kind of audience I wanted as well.
Yeah.
Because I went to different gas stations, you know.
Yeah. Here we go. He's going somewhere.
Yeah. And I asked everybody if today was the last day on Earth, what would be the one thing that you would want an answer to? What was the one question that you want an answer to? And damn near 80-90% said, is there an afterlife? Is there a God? Like, there was only like one person that was just like, why did my ex do drugs? And I was just like, okay, you're clearly not getting it.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Okay, got it.
You know why they did drugs.
Yeah. You know exactly why.
Yeah.
We visited 25 gas stations and asked,
Yeah.
what is the meaning of life?
You were ahead
The
of the
top
on the
6
street.
answers are on the board.
Yeah, you were literally ahead of the on the street interviews.
Yeah.
Right?
So it's when I started to understand that, I'm like, yo, people are actually looking for better meanings. So I started to surround questions with that, and it opened me up enough to be vulnerable with people first. Right?
Set the tone.
That's what we do when we drink. That's what we do when we take the substance. So take that away. Can you do it without it? That was a challenge.
Wow. Yeah.
So I was like, yo, I can do that. You're going to have to be on a mic. You're going to have to, you know, spill your guts out if you want them to spill their guts out. Right? I like, if you guys aren't vulnerable with me, why would I be vulnerable with you, vice versa? Right? Like, then it's just going to be a surface podcast. That's all it's going to be. But you guys have done such an amazing job of digging into, pulling out the stories, right? I would actually say you guys do it as good as Cal Fussman. And I don't know if you guys know who Cal Fussman is.
Do you? I don't know.
Couldn't tell you.
Okay,
Couldn't
Cal
tell you.
Fussman.
I'll take it as a compliment, though.
Yes,
Yeah.
Letterman's right-hand man. Or is it Letterman, or is it who's the guy that looked like a lizard? Larry King. Larry King's right-hand man. Can't say he didn't. No, Larry King's
Yeah, he
right-hand
did look
man.
like a lizard. Yeah.
Every morning,
Yeah.
he would talk to Larry King. He was his right-hand man. He taught him how to interview. He taught him how to do this, how to do that. And he's like, I learned so much from Larry King. You guys do such a good job of pulling out stories. I've listened to interviews on how to interview by Cal Fussman, how to pull stories out by key questions key words and questions. You guys do great at that. So I would say that you guys are almost at a level of like Cal Fussman.
Wow.
you.
Yeah. If you guys ever get a chance, look up Cal Fussman.
We're going to have to now.
Yeah.
Yeah, the way he asks a question too, he delays it. And he'll just make you, what do you think about and now you're kind of leaned in, right?
Yeah.
Like
Yeah.
now you're like, okay, go
Yeah.
on, right? Or how did that go about? If, you know, I forget,
Yeah.
one of his questions is it's always an open-ended question. It's never a yes or no question.
No, yeah, that's like the number one rule of interviewing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tell me the time when you went over this mountain I heard about. And he asked this question one time, and he got a 20-minute story about a life decision of one man going one way through the mountain, or he chose another direction with the guy he was on vacation with. And you guys do the same thing. You guys do the greatest way of doing that you guys do it, because it makes somebody choose, well, which vulnerability are we going down here? So I think that's important. I think you guys do a great job of that.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Yeah, I think it's I think we learned that in the beginning from doing it with each other. We realized that, like, if I can set the tone of being vulnerable when I'm talking to you, that kind of like comes back. And then we realized, like, we could do this to guests. Like, instead of like asking them out of the blue to tell a vulnerable story, a lot of times we would lead with this story that somebody normally wouldn't tell, in order to open up the fact of like, hey, I'm already being vulnerable with you. This is a safe space. Let's bring that back.
Yeah.
You tell me.
Yeah. I did a deep dive into finding out how to, and this is just my own kind of case of it, right? I took a lot of stuff from Cal Fussman. I took a lot of stuff from you guys actually understanding,
Wow.
you know, how to set it up. And I kind of wrote down all the, you know, we all know about the who, what, where, how, and whens, right? And the hows. So I broke it down so hardcore to where when I'm interviewing somebody, like on Iconical, it is like you start with the who. So who's hosting the podcast? You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm. Or who's your
going to be
guest,
on it?
yeah.
Who's your target audience? Go
Yeah.
through all the who's that you can.
Yeah.
Like what are we talking about? What kind of vulnerability are we getting into? What's the setting like? What's the vulnerability like, right? Why are we interviewing this person? You know, go through every single one of them and break them all down. And if you have to go into a what, ask, this is going to sound crazy, but when you go to what, put a who inside the what question. Who, what, where, how, and when. Put all of those questions into the what. All of those questions into the who. So put the W's inside the W questions. I know that sounds crazy, but if you really want to get the answers of the real questions that you need, I know that sounds like contradicting, but I think that's the best way that you're going to know what questions to ask people, because I believe the quality that you're bringing into a podcast of the person. So if you bring a shitty person into your podcast and you're going to talk to them, you're going to have a shitty podcast. They're probably not going to tell the truth. They're probably not going to be open and honest with you because it's shitty quality. But if you have good quality, even if you do it once a month, people are going to respect that more, and you'll have better situations that people want to see because it's like, I can relate to that shit.
This is wild because I feel like I'm getting a little bit of a memory from like the first time that I ever sat down and talked to you. Like we went to the Yankee Clipper Diner. And I feel like there was some element in there of you talking about like, you got to analyze the who, what, when, where, and why. And I'm like, this dude is a fucking what? Huh? And then it's just like, here we are 7 years later talking about it. And you're talking about how we influence the way that you interview people. And we didn't, the thought of even having a podcast wasn't even close, right? Like at that point.
No, but I've watched enough to where you feed off of him, he feeds off of you. You guys both, you know, find questions that are intriguing. The person sitting there, by their reaction, has not thought about the question before, and so you guys brought it up. Why? Because you guys do a deep dive. And there's an important reason why you do that, is because it has to be said, it has to be put out there, and it has to be put out there so it's relatable to your audience, because your audience, not just for clicks, no, it's not for that. It's for the actual reasoning of life. Of there's somebody out there that is afraid to tell this story because they have been living in fear their entire life, and they think that that's fucking comfortable. It's not comfortable. But there's this one superhero that comes on your show that is brave enough to tell that story, and all of a sudden this person that you've never met before sees your clip and relates to it. Corny, if it wants to sound corny, I don't care. That could save a fucking life. Point blank, period.
Right.
Because people are living in their own fucking worlds, dude.
Yeah. It's a big reason why we do this.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's a, you know, so, I mean, I always try to go after the who, what, where, how, and when, you know what I mean? Where are you going to have it? Is it in this place that somebody is vulnerable enough? Is it comfortable? This is a very comfortable setting. You know what I mean? It's nothing crazy. But if you go into a place that nobody's happy to be in, they're not going to open up. You know what I mean? If they don't feel relaxed, they're not opening up. It's not going to happen. Or you're going to get half the story. You're going to want more, and you can't get it out of them.
Yeah.
So there's so many W's that you go down in the house, and you know what I mean?
Yeah.
I broke it down. You know what I mean? Whatever,
Yeah.
you know, however my brain goes down those rabbit.
But now I'm thinking that like I wonder if there was like some subconscious element of that like factored into the naming of this podcast. Who knows? I don't know where Who Thought We'd Be Here came from that day necessarily, right? It's something right? But there's a who in there,
There is a who.
right?
There is a who.
Who's the who there? That
The
who
owl.
could be anybody.
If you guys get an owl as a mascot,
Yeah. My spirit animal is an owl. I'm just saying.
I believe that. I don't know why, but I think it's a fast sloth.
If you say so, man.
I mean, you know.
Yeah, absolutely, man. Yeah, it's I feel like now we can kind of, I've known you for long enough, and like obviously you've known him now long enough that with that one conversation that like I think you probably learned that about him, because all of a sudden we were supposed to have him as a guest on that first podcast we did, and then it turned into the first hour and a half of him interviewing you and I.
Yeah.
Right? And like that very
Gotcha. No.
but that happened like so effortlessly.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah,
the
I mean,
conversation just flowed.
Yeah.
yeah, and the thing was, I know that I feel safe around you guys saying whatever it is, because you guys have been through your own, you know, your own problems and your own issues, and you've been open enough to express them and be vulnerable enough to be like, yo, you know, even though what
You said that. You guys have been through your own stuff, and all I was thinking was just in the voice. See, been down to the bottom of every bottle.
Oh, we having fun yet?
fair enough.
Fucking Nickelback.
They
was
always
good.
find a way, don't they?
That was good. I'm like, why is he laughing? He's trying to be
He was dead serious. And I was just in my head.
No. You know
Chad
what?
Kroger.
You know
does.
what? Fair.
Yeah.
Because
That's some shit you would do.
no, I would say this fair, because I had this mental break in our other one where I couldn't stop laughing because I had an image of you
Yeah.
Oh.
when he said that,
he was telling
it
his
was-
dream.
Yeah.
It was so unprofessional, and I'm sitting there and I'm just like, yo, I can't get this out of my head, and I just keep laughing.
Yeah.
Like, and I'm sitting there, and Steve looked at me like he's still like, and he's like, still fucking laughing about this shit. It was so unprofessional.
And I'm like, I was
sitting there,
deep in drug
and
addiction. Brian's dying laughing.
I could not. The time when I thought, I could not get it out of my head.
Yeah, right?
We're not all perfect.
Yeah, no,
But
we're
no,
not.
he's I get it.
Yeah,
I get
of
it.
course, yeah. Yeah.
Again,
Brian will be
being wrong.
Me and Brian will be chatting on the phone. I'll be saying something mad vulnerable, mad serious, and he'll just be like, "Bro, I can't stop picturing fucking. You sound like Happy Gilmore right now," and I'm like, "What?" I'm like, this reminds me of that scene in The Waterboy, and I'm like, "What the fuck are you talking about?"
I'm trying to tell you, I just OT'd yesterday.
Yeah, right.
They're like, oh, okay.
Oh, all right, pal. Sure.
No, but I get it.
Yeah.
Trust me. Yeah, that was a good reference.
Yeah.
Nickelback always comes back around for some odd fucking reason everywhere. You know?
We'll never go
Do you
out of
remember
town.
where you were going with that thought? Who knows?
I don't even know what I was talking about.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's a squirrel.
Yeah.
Oh man, yeah, exactly. And I think that is something that I've always admired about you, is that like you don't like shy away from, like you embrace the fact that like, yeah, I'm probably gonna say something random, or I'm gonna do something, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like, and you don't apologize for that. You know what I mean? And like in a good way, right? You know what I
For a
mean?
long time, I did.
Yeah,
For a
I know.
long
Yeah,
time, I
yeah.
did. I was so insecure that I was just like, you know, I was the I'm sorry guy. Now I'm still the I'm sorry guy at times, right? And that kind of takes away from being an alpha, you know, as society would say, right? But at the same point, like, well, we might be, you know, well, I'm driving Steve home after this, right?
Yeah.
There's probably going to be a point where I'm just like, that's what the fuck we were talking about, you know? Like,
Yes.
it'll come
Yep.
back out, you know what
Yeah.
I mean? But that's okay.
Yeah.
But you're right. I'm just going to be me. I'm going to make mistakes in this world. I'm going to buck up.
Yeah.
That's going to happen. And I think I've played a role for trying to be perfect around, you know, the cameras, meaning the people, for so long in society that, you know, at one point I was just like, well, fuck it. This is me. What am I trying so hard to impress? Nobody cares anyway. They're in their own little world of thinking all their other problems. Nobody gives a
Yeah.
shit if I mess up.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, dude. Absolutely. And like that's actually a thing, like we had lunch 2 days ago. And on
Yeah.
the car ride home I said to Vipin, I was like, Brian has always been like when I first met you, you were confronting to me in the fact of, I knew that at that point in my life, I wasn't being authentic to who I was. And in some ways, then when you bring, like, I will say it 100% that, like, I felt self-conscious about bringing you around the people that I was hanging out with, because of the fact that I knew that I wasn't being myself, and that watching you be yourself around people that I wasn't being myself around was showing me that, like, why can't I do that? And I learned to really, like, embrace the fact of that, like, if somebody else can do that and be unapologetically themselves, like, why can't I? You know? Because, like, one of the things that I think is important about that is everybody always says that, oh, like, I'm this person until you get to know me. And I would never fucking say that about you, because the second you meet somebody, at least as far as I've known you, you are very much like, I'm going to say the weird thing, I'm going to do the weird thing, and I'm going to bring up fucking the safeties coach for the fucking Cleveland Browns in front of someone who has no idea what the fuck I'm talking about.
Yeah, and the thing is, I can run with that, or I could be like, oh, you don't know that, but basically what a safeties coach is, blah, 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 and I'll stop there.
Yeah.
Like, you know when to stop and you know when not to.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah, and I think that that's, like, we were just talking about in our solo podcast before we did this, about how the people who are, like, really meant to be in your life are there to support you, but they're also there to challenge you. And I'll take this time right now to be like, thank you for doing that, for, like, being yourself and showing that side of yourself, because I think that was a huge part in me learning to discover that. Because I used to, you and I would go out to dinner, let's say, you would always make a new friend sitting there at the bar. And at that time I would be like, yeah, you're going like this. Like, yeah, that makes 100% sense.
It sounds
like
me.
That sounds like you, right? And that would make me feel some type of way, because I would be like, how is he so confident in who he is that, like, because when you do that, right, there's always the chance that that person does not receive you well, and you have to, like, turn around, and now you have to sit there for an hour, like, knowing that this person over here, like, doesn't like you or felt some type of way about it, right?
Okay.
But almost always, every single part of the time, every time, it would always be like, you made a new friend and you made a connection with somebody who you normally wouldn't have, and then I would too, right?
Yeah.
So that to me is always been inspiring about you. And I'd be curious to know, like, do you know that about yourself? Like, you know what I mean? Like, or is that just something that kind of, like, I want to give you credit for that, basically. And I'm curious if you understand, like, the impact that you have in terms of doing that by, like, leading by example.
I would say that I noticed it about me, but at the same point, I would say that I don't see it through the eyes that you see it, right? Meaning that I could be better. Now, I know that sounds weird, right? What I mean by that is when somebody has, let me bring it to a pain level, all right? When somebody says that, you know, my pain level is here, right? Now, some people have seen me get hit on the field before, get completely hip checked in my jaw and just get knocked down, right? And you hear the smack from a long ways ago, right? Or, you know, across the field. Well, I get back up and I just get back into the huddle. They're like, yo, didn't that hurt? I'm like, yeah, it hurt. But my pain tolerance is so high. So my other tolerance for that is, like, I have to be better. So as much as, and I do appreciate you saying that, because sometimes I do need to stop. I do need to reflect. I do need to understand that I'm helping.
Yeah.
You know, other people are connecting with other people. And sometimes I don't take the time to do that, which is sometimes I actually see it as a flaw in myself because I don't stop to think that. But I think that I can do better. Mm-hmm. Even in that situation, be like, oh no, that's just me talking or whatever. I could have made a better connection. I have to stop doing that. Because I always put myself, no, I could do better than that. Even though he saw it, now I got to step it up. Step it up to what? That's just me in my own head. So it's like, I realize it, but I realize it with, I have to do better. That's not always a good thing.
Mm-hmm.
So it's like, 100% I appreciate, you saying that to me, because you know me, I love to talk to people. I love to learn, but sometimes I just overcomplicate things, and I wish I didn't.
Mm-hmm.
So that's something I still am working on.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
What steps are you taking right now as an overthinker myself to try to step back, be present? Because a lot of times, like, yeah, it always feels like you're not doing enough, right? It's always moving on to the next thing. Like, is there any little things that you're trying to do now to?
Less is more. Not everything needs to be said.
Mm-hmm.
Not everything needs to be said that's in here. You know what I mean? Like, you could just sit there and listen to somebody else talk. You don't always have to have an input. You don't always have to say something. You know what? Read the room too, right? Like, sometimes you look at body language of people, they don't want to be talked to.
Mm-hmm.
They're not looking for a conversation. And that's okay too. So it's like it's really small things on my end. Everybody's different, but my end is a little different as well. So it's really the small things, I would say. Just pay attention to the room. What's the room reading? You know what I mean? Read the book if the book is open. So
What are you reading in the room right now?
my stomach's growling.
Yeah. Yeah.
No, I mean, in the room right now, it's I don't know. It's never even through silence with you guys, it's easy.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
You can take a minute and just like relax to think about what you want to say next. Nobody's in a rush here.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I never, if I'm like done saying something, it's like, all right, cool.
Mm-hmm.
Like, that's it. Especially around you guys, it's just like, all right, cool. Because something usually comes up.
Yeah, somebody always just picks it up.
Yeah.
So the conversation flows.
That's the beauty about you guys, is that, like, especially with JP, when we're all hanging out, he's like, oh, the boys are buzzing. By the way, you should make that a shirt.
The boys are buzzing, yeah.
Yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah, the boys are buzzing.
Yeah.
And I actually have a shirt coming out. Be a teammate, not a team weight.
Oh, that's a good one.
Yeah.
Mhm.
I like that.
Yeah.
What else do you have coming up for the podcast between Iconical and the football stuff?
So I'm going to jump back on board. I'm actually going to do a detailed version of, the who, what, where, how, and whens and stuff like that. I'm going to try to put that in there because I've gotten so many different, a lot of people just ask, hey, can you help me build this podcast and do this and do that? Like, it's the internal stuff. And not that I know everything about it, right? But I think one of the main things is like, dude, don't let people on that just want to hear their voice.
Mm-hmm.
I think that's key,
Yeah.
right? And I think if I lay this out, I could be like, this is for everybody. Just, you guys want a couple answers on how to start, because I've had 2 or 3 people ask me, and when we set something up, nobody returns my calls.
Yep.
You guys have been through that.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so I'm just going to put one episode on the certain stuff that I learned for a podcast and stuff like that. And, through you, through, Bryce, through whatever, you know what I mean? Everything, on how to, good quality, good this, good that, all that stuff. And I'll leave it to there. Hey, can you help me build a podcast?
Cool.
Episode 98.
Yep.
There you go. Go look at it. That's basically what it is. So,
Yeah.
But with Top Dog, it's every week. We are, Saturday, Christian was at SMU game scouting, we got.
You want to go to Rutgers and watch the Buckeyes play? You can see
I
a
would not
lot,
mind
a lot of talent there.
Rutgers was my first scouting event.
Was it?
Yeah.
I went to Rutgers in 2015, right after we won the national championship, and watched them steamroll them. Yeah, got Zeke and all. Everybody was still on the team because they couldn't go to the draft yet.
Oh wow!
But that was the year that we very much disappointed at the end of the season.
Yeah, I mean, I went there. I mean, you couldn't ask for a better day. It was like, You walk in, you feel the energy. It's Rutgers, right? We've heard about the Rutgers games, right?
Yeah.
You walk in there.
Interesting venue. It's such an interesting venue. It's like, it feels like high school football just took like a big jump. Like Rutgers football field and stadium could 100% be like the state championship field for like any high school game. But then you put certain colleges in there and you're like, this is very small. And like Ohio State travels well. Like there's a lot of fans that go to that. I remember that just being like a nightmare in the parking lot.
I mean, going in to go scout for the first time, right? You're excited. You really are like a kid going to school for the first day, right? That's what it felt like. So I'm walking into this place. You got that fall smell, the fall look, the leaves are changing on the trees. You see everybody, all the Rutgers fans just piling in. You know, I have my directions to go get my media, ticket, my media pass. And I get into the stadium and realize that I could be on the field. So I get to go down to the field. And that's where like a lot of the stuff just kind of came true. Like I get to be here when everybody has to watch the game from there. I have to go look at my players. Not only that, I have to go up into the conference room where you see everything with all the major broadcasting people. And, the Detroit Lions next to me, the Pittsburgh Steelers next to me, all these scouting guys, right? But it was kind of like that moment. I was like, yeah, this is it. This is it. Now we got to learn more, So that was like, there's even a smell when you walk into a stadium or get onto campus. You know what I mean? There's a vision, there's a smell.
In Jersey, it's just piss. Like.
Yeah, it's garbage. No, but I'll tell you what, there's something about that game day college game that when you walk in and it's fall season and, you're going down there and they're doing high knees and they're stretching right before the game. Then they go back into the locker room to have their hurrah speech. And you're just like, yep. 30 minutes before game time, head up so you can see the eagle eye. You got your binoculars. You're looking down as a scout. You're making sure that they're taking off at point of attack. You're making sure the quarterback is holding the ball right. All these small little intricate detailed things goes with the experience of college football. And it lights you up inside. It's just one of those things that I never want to take for granted. So that's why we started this, because it's a passion. And we don't want to take it for granted. We want to take it as a present, as a gift.
Was that something where the first time you did that, like, is that something where you were able to kind of take stock of the present moment while you were there? Or was it something that now you look back on and realize like, oh, wow, that was such a like breakthrough moment for me, but I didn't realize it at that point?
I would say I did realize it at that point. Like that's what made me like, I want to do that again. Not only do I want to do it again, there's so many colleges to visit and it doesn't get old. There was a new experience at UConn. There was a new experience at Princeton. There was, you know what I mean? These are places that we went and we saw. And, like one of the main guys that I thought that was a great wide receiver at a Princeton. Nobody thinks of Princeton football is like big, but he's on the Cincinnati Bengals. Joe Burrow is his quarterback, and he's the number 3 wide receiver. Does he get a lot of targets? No, he doesn't. But he's a starter in the NFL, and that's big. So that makes me feel like I knew what I was talking about too. Let alone you're walking around Princeton with everybody that has folded sweatshirts on their chest. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I didn't belong there, let me tell you. That's not a place I belong. Great place to be, though.
Yeah.
There's a great experience, great atmosphere.
Yeah.
So I don't want to lose track of that because I knew at those moments when I did go there, I'm like, I do know what's going on here. This is a game changer. And I want to continue that. So I dove into it. And I'm going to learn more.
Yeah, there is something about, like, and I think you experienced this with all of those college sports that, like, lead people towards the pros, which is that, like, every time that you're there or you're watching a game on TV or whatever it might be, there's always somebody there on that field who has something to prove. And it's kind of like the highest level of that, because a lot of guys, you see them, they get to the NFL and all they wanted was, I was in the NFL. I don't care about being that good. But there is something about college football where it's like, that's where you see the highest level of, I have something to prove.
Yeah.
And my life could go one of two ways, right? And that's when you say, like, there's something in the air about walking into like a college stadium versus like a professional one, because it's just like a lot of these guys have gotten $1 million deals and they've already done it. But like in college, there is that hope in a lot of those guys that it's just like, today could be the day that someone's in the stands here who sees me and drafts me or picks me up and knows that I could do something at a higher level.
Absolutely. Yeah. Any week could change. You have one person go down, the next man mentality is come in, do your job. And if you do your job right, you know, it could, like, it doesn't have to be points. It doesn't have to be a wide receiver or running back, a guy with the ball. It could be the guy that's just creating somebody not getting to the quarterback. And he's the first fill-in. And all it takes is a media company like us to see it because we have good eyes, right? Be like, oh, did you see that touchdown? Yeah, everybody saw that touchdown. Did you see the right tackle, the third string right tackle that didn't allow a sack today? No, probably not, because nobody's looking at that. So, you know, that's what we're there for. That's what we do.
Yeah.
And it's, you know, sometimes it's tiring.
Yeah. I'm curious what you think about, like, I'll call it, I don't know if this is the right terminology for it, but like kind of like the backup quarterback effect, which is that, like, I think that there's two types of people who are in that position, especially at the college level, right? And like the first thing that comes to my mind is like Blue Mountain State. but I think that idea exists, and how I'll like put that out there is, there's the guy who's content to be the backup quarterback and like get chicks and be on the team and experience all the benefits of it, but has no aspirations to be the starter.
Yeah.
He's just there to have fun, be content. And then there's the guy who's the backup quarterback who is like, when I get my opportunity, I'm not going to waste it. I'm waiting for the moment, right?
Yeah.
Like, there's a guy who's like afraid of it, and there's a guy who's on the edge of his seat, absolutely waiting to seize his opportunity. How do you think that applies to real life? Because I think a lot of people are content being that backup quarterback, and they don't want to make that leap. They don't want something to go wrong so that they have to take on the next challenge, right? And then other people are just like, when that opportunity comes, I'll be fucking ready.
Yeah, it's like fear driven almost at one point, right? You're afraid to take the next step because of the uncertainty. You know, when you get to the top of the roller coaster, you know, it's scary going up, right? But as soon as you hit that first level going down, it's a ride, right? Like you feel it. The wind's in your hair and you're just having a blast, right? But it's scary getting up to the top so you can have the fun with the fall, right? So it's like the fear of the unknown. Nobody knows, right? But on the other hand, yeah, there are people out there that just want the, you know, the chicks and the this and the that. And then
Whatever it is, yeah.
Yeah, and then there's that person like, you know, I think Joe Burrow switched.
He went from Ohio State because he couldn't get the job. We started Dwayne Haskins over him.
Yeah.
Where's Dwayne Haskins now?
He's dead, bro.
Oh, yeah. But what do you...
that. We'll cut that part. R.I.P.
Yeah.
The all-time
I honestly
leader for the Big Ten.
I honestly did not know that, number one.
Didn't?
But also, like, I mean, the reality is that, like, would he have been as good a quarterback as Joe Burrow would, right? Who knows?
I mean, he was the starter for the Redskins.
Yeah.
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 Yeah, and I think Patrick Mahomes was a backup.
Yeah.
So it's like,
Baker Mayfield jumped to colleges. Jalen Hurts is the prime example. Jalen Hurts left Alabama with the biggest chip on his shoulder on the planet, won the Heisman in Oklahoma, and now he's a Super Bowl champion.
wasn't he backup to Tua?
He was the starter, and then he got hurt, and they put Tua in, and then they never gave him his job back.
Yeah, that's right. That's right. I knew it was vice versa. Okay,
Yeah.
one of the other.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's you know, and that's just the way. That's the way the cookie crumbles.
Yeah.
I mean, that's kind of what it is, right? It's one of those things where, yeah, you're gonna have those guys that just want to look stylish, look cool, and they're gonna be in there, right? They're never gonna take it serious.
Yeah, Patrick Raiola.
Johnny Manziel.
Johnny Manziel's a great example of it too. He
Yeah.
just wanted. I mean, I feel like that's also Johnny Manziel's a prime example of what happens when you give an 18-year-old the world. And at the time when he won the Heisman, that was clearly like the biggest thing that had ever happened to an athlete at that level, and they weren't getting paid yet still.
Yeah.
So it was like, now you're flaunting all of the money that you're making in front of this 18-year-old that just put you guys on the map.
Yeah.
And he can't have any of it. So I feel like he was never real. He also seems, if you listen to him talk now, he never really cared. He was just athletic, and it happened that he played football in a town where football got him to college, and college was going to take him somewhere else because he was athletic.
And this is the thing. When I saw that,
His second year was better than his Heisman year too. Nobody ever realizes that. He had like the same exact numbers as Jameis Winston, and he had a better rushing yards, but they didn't beat Alabama.
Yeah, yeah. And actually, if you look at it now, how much has Jameis Winston kind of came into a change of his life, right?
And the Bengals got him. Jamar Chase would have 12,000 receiving yards next week.
So you're talking how many 400-yard games has he has? And last year, he almost threw for 500 against one of the best defenses in the league.
I had Jerry Jeudy on my fantasy team last year, and he did absolutely dog shit for me until week 12 when Jameis Winston started, and then he was the best receiver by fantasy standards in the league for the next 5 weeks.
He has nothing to lose, but yet he's the best teammate you will ever have, right?
Yeah.
Now, picture that with Johnny Manziel. That's the difference between turning it around and not turning it around, right? Like, hey, I can do better. Like, you're getting clowned by Kevin Hart for stealing king crab legs at one point.
Yeah.
Right? That was Jameis Winston. He didn't like it, but he was young and he was kind of, stupid, right? But then he turned
They
it
have
around.
made up since. Yeah.
Right?
Him and the crab.
Yeah.
But like you also like you see in him how like he's gone from being superstar at the height of his game to now he kind of like you'll see it like they don't necessarily feature, but like Jameis Winston being a backup, biggest cheerleader for his team, right?
Jackson Dart's #1 fan.
How many fucking guys who are backups or whoever or perfect example who used to be like Heisman winners, top of their game, blah blah blah, who don't do nothing and don't try to help their team.
Kurt Warner.
because they're not
ready for that.
They're not at the center of it, right? So what's the point of it when you're not at the center of it, right? And he's a great example of I'm not a superstar at the NFL level, but I've embraced who I am now. And then like you see him cheering for other players who we used to play with as like a commentator. And you just kind of like don't see that kind of joy about the game with someone who has been at the top level and then slowly declines or whatever it is and still is themselves and doesn't need it to be all about them or embraces another part of their personality in order to like now he's probably viewed as more of a you want that guy in your clubhouse versus I need that guy on my team because he's a superstar.
Yeah, and I think that kind of goes with like with that mentality. That's what scouts, in my opinion, and I could be somebody could rip me apart for this. Like, what do you know? You're not an NFL scout. No, I'm not. But you're gonna tell me that you guys thought it was okay to bring a Johnny Manziel as a first-round overall pick into your organization, thinking it was gonna work? Everybody saw this coming. Everybody saw it coming. So my question would be, what the hell were you thinking? You're just making your organization worse. That's just my opinion. But who am I? Again, you would say, you're not afraid to say those things. You're not afraid to say, the crazy thing. No, because I think it's true. And yeah, he was a wild child. We all said that he wasn't going to make it. The only way that he was actually doing good is because he kept chucking it up to Mike Evans back in college. Okay, Mike Evans was bailing him out after, all these, 4-second hang throws that looked like a punt. Okay, that's how much time was in the air. And Mike Evans' big body would bring it down. So, yeah, your numbers are going to look great. I never understood it, but there's so many different things that I'm still learning, oh, they're going to do this. Sometimes it's not just the scouts. The scouts just do what they do here. GM's going to make their decision. And, you know, sometimes the GM's not making the decision either. Why? Because the owner wants to pull veto.
Yep.
It is what it is.
Just somebody wants the credit for being right about this person or that person or this scheme or whatever.
Yeah.
Right?
You know, and then guess what? You don't get that right and you wonder why your organization's failing. Oh, maybe because you had your hand or you're leaning over to GM making sure they're doing what they're doing is right. But in reality, you got to let football people make football decisions. Mm-hmm. And then all of a sudden you fire that GM or you fire that head coach because it's not working. Well, then you're just never going to have a championship team because you're not working as a team. You just want the jersey sales, the ticket sales, the new bright, shiny thing. You know, it is what it is.
Do you think people do that in their personal lives?
Yes.
In what way?
You can take that so many different ways. People want look at social media, for example, right? Everybody looks at that as, you know, let's put all of our flashy things up on social media because we're having a great life. But then, you know, you could turn that down and all of a sudden you're 100% depressed. Nobody knows that because you're in the room by yourself, you know? Or you're trying to, you know, take something from social media and tell your friend, you know, hey, we should really be doing X, Y, and Z, but you're not doing it. So maybe you're just trying to act like somebody that you want somebody to listen to your advice, but at the same point, you're not applying it. Do you really know what you're talking about? No, maybe you're trying to help them out, but have you worked on yourself either? Probably not. It shows, I think, through the actual actions that we take of what we do day-to-day basis. If I do something and if I tell you guys, you know, Steve, like, you know, I saw this and blah, 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 blah. I haven't tried it yet. I think that's more being honest, but I thought of you when I saw this. Or if I'd be like, no, I tried it because I thought it was really interesting. Now we're on another level. I've tried it. It worked out for me. Here, try this out. Like, okay, cool. But if I don't, and I just keep giving you shit more and more, you'll be like, yeah, but he never, like, eventually in your head, you're going to be like, yeah, but he never tries this shit out. He just, like, gives it to me to do it.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, that could really look at somebody like, okay, he's giving it to me.
It's like if I was telling him to get sober and I was still drinking when I was
really?
telling him to do it.
Yeah.
But like I was sober telling him, like, hey, it works. I'm telling you it works.
Listen, I'm just saying.
I'm just throwing it out there.
I'm just saying. Maybe you're anxious because you drink all the time.
That's great.
Yeah. I think it's interesting that you bring up the point about social media because I think that some people go about it in a way that is I'm okay with. Actually, let me reword this in a different way. A lot of times people will say stuff that is like, never take advice from somebody who's not more successful than you. And I would flip that around and I would say, like, don't take advice from somebody who's at least not trying. Right?
Yeah, I think Connor Price has something. I don't know if you guys listen to Connor Price, but he had something in one of his songs like that. Yeah,
like they don't necessarily have to be the number one whatever, but like at least they're trying to do something and they're not afraid of the failure of it. And it could be something completely different from what you're trying to do, right?
Yeah, I mean, there's if you guys ever get a chance, it's not off topic, but it is a little bit, but
off topic for us.
Yeah. There's this podcast that was called S-Town. It's called Shit Town. And it's a true story about a guy who actually called up to New York, a writer, about a murder that had happened in his small town. I think it was Georgia or something like that, right? But basically, he was on the verge of being a genius, but insane. He was on that borderline, right? He was by far no businessman, but he had a lot of knowledge, right? He applied a lot of different things. And I mean, if you ever listen to that podcast, it is a wild podcast. There's 9 episodes about this man's real life. But I mean, the guy knew how to pull apart an antique clock. He was a horologist that could make $400,000 back in the 1990s, right? But he lived in this shit shack where his, the windows were busted. His mother lived with him, and you wouldn't have never thought about taking advice from him from business, right? But he knew how to mix chemicals. He knew how to put this together, that together. People would travel from Massachusetts to bring their antique clocks to him, from London to bring their antique clocks to him. He would right at hand just start pulling shit out. Like he knew what he was doing. To your point, it doesn't have to be this business guy. It could be somebody that has some knowledge or is trying at life, maybe just not the way that we think society thinks they're trying. Right?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah. I think that's a great way of looking at it. Like I used to think that it's just like, well, why would I listen to somebody who wasn't the most successful at this? And now it's more like, actually, the more impressive part is that you would try.
Yeah.
That you would, because like, I think what trips up a lot of people, myself included, is like the fear about it versus being an expert.
There's also plenty of people that aren't considered experts, but have been doing something for so long that like you can go to them for advice, and like they might not be the top rated person in that field, but like you can't tell them they don't know what they're talking about. You know what I mean?
Yeah. Like someone could turn to you and just be like, well, you've never ran a marathon in under 3 hours. but like, why wouldn't you take advice from somebody who's like, you're doing it. You're out there. Like, you don't need to get advice from fucking the Usain Bolt of marathon running, whatever it is, right? It could be someone who's like, but you're out there trying, and you might be able to give that person better advice than the person who's so out of touch, who's running 2.5 hour marathons.
Yeah.
Right?
Kudos to you, by the way, dude.
Thanks.
Running that marathon.
Yeah. I gave him his flowers before. Don't worry. That wasn't the whole thing.
I gotta give some flowers.
Of course,
too,
yeah.
okay?
No,
You're
of
not
course.
The florist.
Yeah.
All right?
You're not the horticulturist, okay? You didn't genetically design these flowers.
You did not. Sir.
Yeah,
No.
exactly. Yeah. So now it's time for you to flip it on us, huh? What do you got for us, huh? That's always been how this is.
That's always how. I got an idea.
Sure.
So my question I would have for you guys would be, when you guys first started, you knew what direction you kind of wanted to go into, right? What has been some of the hardest vulnerabilities that you had to dive into that you didn't expect?
I don't know if I have one, to be honest, because I feel like when we started doing this, it was like I was very much, maybe more so than you at the time, like very willing to just throw it all out there. Because I was like,
It's true.
I felt like the quickest and easiest way to get over and establish myself as a new person and to get into the way I wanted to be was to just approach things head on. So I don't think that there was ever really anything that I was like not willing to talk about that was going to be difficult for me. I think what was more challenging with the vulnerability is figuring out how to approach it with guests and how to say something, because everybody's different. I could tell you a story about addiction that resonates with you, but I could tell it to somebody else that we have on the podcast and they're like, I never did drugs, so I don't really care. And like, I appreciate you being open, but how does this apply? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So I think it's like finding that area, like to show your vulnerability to, or like to expose it to a guest in a way that inspires them to do it back. I think that's been more challenging than trying to be vulnerable myself. I think that kind of just came naturally.
Yeah, it definitely helps any story too. Like when you can open up and they're just more comfortable that you initiated first, and then all of a sudden you guys are just like on a playing field that's just like, okay.
You got to lower yourself to the guests like every time.
Sorry.
Oh no. I'm just saying in general, like you lower yourself to the guests to like allow them to feel that build up, that like, okay.
Absolutely. And it's you want them to be open enough to tell their story in detail. And that's that vulnerability to where it's like, you're going to share something that is, and it's just you. That's just who you are, that you want to do that, right? So when you guys do that, it's almost like a breath of fresh air to a guest that's just like, oh, okay, I can be myself too.
Mm-hmm.
You know, that's half the battle sometimes.
Yeah.
So
What would you say?
I think for me, it was now, like, and this is now looking back on it, which was, I think that I was scared of the things that I was going to have to face by doing this. And that it was going to have to be something that, number one, like, I was going to have to, I knew the integrity within myself that if I was going to go on the internet and talk about these things, I was going to have to start living that lifestyle, right? But for me, it took a while to, I think the first hard part was, like, I had to be comfortable being seen. Mm-hmm. Right? I had to be okay with the fact that that was something we talked about a ton in the beginning, which was that, like, I didn't really feel comfortable putting myself out there. And I kind of offloaded that onto him because I knew that he was comfortable with that, because I knew it was going to be a struggle for me. But I think that I knew, looking back on it now, I knew at the moment that we started doing this that I was going to have to get sober. I knew that I was going to have to confront how I looked at myself from a self-esteem point of view. I knew that eventually things were going to come up on the podcast, whether it was with him or it was with guests, or it was not even on the podcast, but it was like I was going to have to confront things about myself and how I viewed myself in order to push past this, if this was going to be a thing. And in the beginning, I was really scared of that. I had no idea how I was going to approach, like, how am I going to talk about what I've been through when I haven't processed entirely what I've been through, right? And there's a reason why there's more than one episode where tears are being shed or real things are coming up that weren't planned on being talked about, right? And I knew that I was kind of going to be confronted with things like that. And sure, like, the substances and stuff like that are a part of it. But I think that deep down, I knew that there's no way for us to do this without me taking a real look at that. And I wouldn't even say that I've gotten completely past that. But I would also say that, like, there's no way that it could have gotten to the point that we're at without me doing some of that work on myself and starting to process and look at that kind of thing.
yeah. I mean, it opens up a bigger picture, right? Like, it opens up a huge thing of, like, got over a small hump here.
Yeah.
Now I can, you know, I feel a little bit more comfortable, and it kind of opens up a new door for a room you've never been in, and you're just like, oh, okay, I can deal with this spot a little bit, you know what I mean? But then you learn how to be a little bit more and a little bit more and a little bit more.
Yeah, I think that I knew that at some point we were going to have to dive into my history in relationships. And that in some way, not only was that going to make me confront the decisions I'd been making, but that was going to make me confront how I looked at myself. And that I couldn't all of a sudden just shrug it off.
Yeah.
And in a weird, like, that might sound weird because it's just like, oh, well, now because you're in front of people. But it's just like, yeah, but, like, I've always wanted to put out that authentic version of it. And I'm not going to put it out there unless it's real. So I knew for a fact that eventually it was going to come up that things about your parents, things about why you are the way that you are, things that are like, well, why haven't you done this, right? Like, fucking a year into this podcast, he turned to me and he's like, you want to be a videographer, but you put no fucking effort into the way this thing looks. The fuck are you doing? He's like, this is your resume right here. And look what happened the second that I fucking gave a shit about it.
Yeah.
Right?
That's a perfect segue for the other question I wanted to ask you guys. What kind of challenges have you guys had as partners, and how did you deal with it?
Wow.
Like, what's one of the biggest problems that you guys have had to conquer as partners, running a podcast, business? It's a business, right? And
Trying to be, yeah.
Yeah. And how did you guys work through that?
You go first this time.
Fair. First of all, it was trying to figure out who talks first. It was figuring out a good cadence. Yeah. I think that I would say that it forced me to not take everything personally. So it forced me to, when he would say something like what I just said, or, right, like there have been times where you had to say to me, or I had to say to you, like, do you think that that you don't want to put this video out there, or you don't want to do this, or you don't want to have this guest, or you feel down because of something that has nothing to do with the podcast? Do you think it's about this actually? And I felt like in the beginning, I struggled with it being like a personal attack because I was the only one on the other end of that, right?
Okay.
If you and I have a podcast and you turn to me and you say, I think that this thing is up, well, you're bringing it up, so it must be me, right? Even if it wasn't necessarily about me. A lot of it was about me, though, to be quite real, right? Like, I literally just answered that question, right? Yeah. So I think that in the beginning it became like, I need to think about, you're thinking about what's not only what's best for me, but what's best for us doing this together and having the best possible thing that we can put out and help people. And part of that was sometimes you calling me out on my shit, but also you just expressing yourself and me having to process that and not be like, this is for the betterment of the podcast. This doesn't have to be about somebody taking blame. We can just make a decision to do better at this together versus being like, well, the podcast isn't doing well because of what I'm doing, or you brought this up, so now I feel some type of way.
Yeah. I think it's been navigating like both of our own personal things while still remaining consistent with this and trying to remain consistent with this. Like there was a good portion of time, like right around when we had you on the podcast, where like nothing went out for like 6 months and like he just wasn't ready to talk about stuff. And I'm not going to say that like we shouldn't, that's great. We didn't need to put anything out. It definitely would have benefited us if we kept rolling. Like we were starting to build momentum, but at the same time, it also doesn't benefit us for him to just be sitting there and me trying to be forcing shit out of him that like he doesn't want to talk about. So it was being able to let him have room to grow and find that for himself while still gently pushing that we need to remain consistent at some basis with this. And when you're ready, like let's pick it back up and just get rolling, because we have the momentum. It had been a couple months too that we had been at it already. Like it had been like 7 months before we took a break.
Absolutely,
so
yeah.
like we knew what it was like to be consistent with it, but it was working through that. I think we also had some issues like when we were trying to figure out, like, because I'm not the most technically sound, so like for me, it's hard for me to be like, hey, I need you to do this, this, and this, because we have deadlines and timelines to hit when I can't help him. So I don't want to stress him out. So it was also that learning curve for me became something that I had to face. Like I can't just sit back here and rely on him to do everything. I have to, one, be willing to help, which I feel like that wasn't the issue, but like the willingness to learn how to help was what I had to really grow on. Like, okay, like he needs help with the clips so I can get them out because he has to edit the whole video, but I don't know how to edit like that. So like, am I going to sit here and just not help and keep complaining that we don't have anything going out? Or am I going to sit down and try and figure out how to work one of these fucking apps and edit so it's a two-man operation? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
So
yeah, no, I would agree with that. Yeah.
Navigating each other's strengths and weaknesses has been like probably the biggest challenge. But like, I think we do a really good job of like, I'm not gonna load him up with asking him to do things that aren't in his wheelhouse, and he's not gonna do the same to me. Like he'll handle what he's very comfortable and equipped to handle, and I'll do the same thing. This way it merges together and this keeps going productively.
Yeah. I could see that.
Have you had any? I'm sorry, I don't mean to cut you off. Have you had any of that come up now that, because Iconical was very much just you on your own. Now you're working with somebody. Has any of that? You don't have to dive into it.
No, we can. It's we've gotten into it. It's more unspoken though. Like it's just kind of like, I understand that at one point it was just me doing some of the editing, right? And he took it upon himself, just like you said, let me dive into this and, start, how do you do this? How do you do that? Now, I don't know editing like JP knows editing, right? I just knew what I said, I've been doing it like this, and this. And then he started banging them out. And then we both started banging them out, right? But I also know in the back of my head that I'm not trying to put a lot of stuff on his plate because he's still in school. He's at the verge of getting his degree, and he just bought a new house and he has a lot going on. At the same point, he's still doing a lot of pull on this. He's going to these colleges. He's scouting. He also has, this is just like a side hustle that he has, with football too. And he still continues to put me into the loop with these things. I tried out for one of these jobs. I didn't get it. Not a big deal, right? Wish I would have, but I didn't, right? So I think it's an unspoken thing of like, I think he gives really good small jabs at me, right? And in a way that's just kind of like, hey, we should probably get in the ball with this. Yeah, you're right. You know what I mean? And I'll just say it out loud. Yeah, I've been kind of distracted, or I've been, focused on something else lately. He's like, yeah, all good, bro. Like we just got to get it done. Cool. So I am like, I'm blessed to have a partner like that, just like you guys are blessed to have each other. And it's kind of like you guys might be more direct with each other than me and my buddy and my partner, but he's just kind of like he'll be direct with me too. With, hey, I was thinking about doing X, Y, and Z, right? He's like, I'm not really feeling that. I'm like, all right, give me a reason why you don't like it. I just don't feel like it suits what we're doing. Okay, well, I do feel like it suits what we're doing, and this is why. He's like, okay, yeah, we're gonna have to sit down and think about that, because it's not just one of those things where it's just gonna take 5-10 minutes. We're gonna have to sit down and talk about it.
Let's make sure we're both in the right headspace to have this conversation. Yeah.
I mean, and let's go down to the nitty gritty here. It might be a small rabbit hole here, but has the person, and it includes myself, has the person eaten? Are they dehydrated? Have they had enough sleep?
Yeah.
Have they? I mean, you have a new baby, right? Like, I mean, have you been getting enough sleep?
Oh yeah, we sleep great. She sleeps like through the night. Yeah, she sleeps like through the night. We have the perfect child.
So it's like, but those are the things.
I'll knock on wood for you.
Thank you.
Just like any kid, right? Yeah. Like if a baby is cranky, it could be one of those three things.
Yeah, they
right?
got a burp, they poop, or they're hungry.
There you go. It's the same thing with an adult. Okay, your mood changes.
Yeah.
Based upon some of those things, you know what I mean? So don't let your latitude determine your attitude. So it's, at the same point. So you have to really be on the same page, understanding, hey, how you feeling? He'll tell me after a show, hey, you good, man? You seem a little off today. And I'll tell him, like, yeah, there's something, there's something off. And like, you guys know that. Right?
Yeah, I think that's something that we also had to navigate.
We sat down to record an episode, and one of us was like, "Nah, don't have it actually," and it is what it is.
Yeah.
Like I think that we talked about this from the beginning, but still figure out new ways to navigate it. Which is like, when is it time for me to be your co-host, and when is it time for me to just be your friend right now? And like,
that's a good one.
Having a fucking episode come out this week is not as important as like, are you doing okay? What's going on? And I feel like that was something we've learned to do better with it. But in the beginning was everything that we were doing centered around this.
Yeah.
And it was great because we were putting a lot of work into it. It was great. And things were flowing. But then it's just like, when was the last time that like you and I just fucking sat down, smoked a joint, and fucking talked about what was going on with us without cameras rolling, without an agenda, without whatever's going on, because we know that that is the best thing for this being the best that it can be.
Yeah, if you guys never did that to begin with, just in life, you wouldn't have a podcast to begin with.
Yeah,
exactly. That's what makes this so good, is that we're able to do that.
Sometimes when you sit down and do those things, it gives you something to talk about the next time you do this, because I accidentally just come up with something because you were having that conversation without any intention of like, we need content.
Yeah, you can definitely hone in and be like, okay, what do I need to work on, or am I going to take this offensively? And act and react defensively. You know what I mean? So it could be so many different areas of going down those different paths, but it's like one path is going to help you and the other one's going to put you right back into your comfort zone that you thought was okay to live in for 13 years or whatever it is. You know what I mean? So
Yeah,
that's
exactly.
the hard part.
Yeah, in a lot of ways, I do feel like it's just like, you know, there's a clip of me that still is on our podcast way further down, which is that it's just like me saying that, like, I don't think that this podcast is about the podcast itself. I think it's about not just me, but in that instance, me learning to grow, deal with your flaws, try to be better, take on challenges, and knowing that, like, this was so scary in the beginning, and now we show up like we know what we're doing, right?
Yeah.
So, but then why still have the fear in other areas of your life when you know that, like, you took this risk, it's clearly paying off in more ways than one. Put that application into other things, right?
I think that momentum kind of goes with some other things too. So if you're feeling a certain way about something and you're not confident to move forward with different things, and then you have this certain momentum that is working, and then you kind of went above and beyond that fear and you're like, oh, it is okay on this side, right? I think that's the easiest point to continue doing other things sometimes, right? And then when you scale back a little bit and I don't want to say you lose that confidence, but you kind of do. So it's even harder to get back into the role of things to conquer another fear. Does that make sense?
Yes, exactly.
So it's kind of,
you have to take that momentum and run with it.
Yeah.
And know that, like, okay, like, you know, having a podcast might not be the same as going into a romantic relationship, but you can certainly learn from the fact that, like, you did that, you were scared and you faced it, and look at you now.
yeah.
How can I apply this to other areas of my life where I'm not, or how do I apply this to areas where I am still being fearful,
Yeah.
right? Because it's always on the other side of that where the best things happen, right?
Yeah. What about you, Steve? Like, what if he goes back to that one point of saying that he probably wishes that he probably thinks that you thought he should have been more attentive in those episodes and stuff like that. What's one thing that you believe JP would still want to talk about on an episode, or maybe, you know, approach or dive deeper into?
It's a really good question. It's a really good question. Yeah.
We did it again. See, yeah, yeah. See,
Look at here now. Look at here now.
I don't know. I think maybe because I feel like you were one that very much pushed for structure early on. And like, I was kind of like, let's just, wherever the wind may take us, like, devil may care about it. And like, even with like the thing that would like occupy so much of your mind was making sure it looked perfect. Like, and I was always just like, looks fine, man. It just turn the camera on and let's record. Like, if we had taken it a little bit more serious, just like from the jump, like started out with a plan when we did episodes, not just like, let's talk about whatever, and then to have 30 episodes in a row where we're kind of just talking about the same stuff, like in little variations. I feel like if we could go back and hit that stage with like, if we had done those episodes with like real intention, other than like not the intention of just putting out an episode, but like been very intentional with like, what is the theme of this episode? What is this about? Like, and it's still, cause you kind of like, that's the way we want to move going forward. So I feel like that maybe, I don't know, you tell me.
Yeah, no, I mean, because I look back on that and like I said, I wish that I had, because like things were going to happen anyway when I was trying super hard. So maybe if I let go of it a little bit more and didn't put so much pressure on myself, that, yeah. But also in the same way, it's that, like, I interpret it as you telling me I need to care less.
Yeah.
And it's, and also I interpreted it as like, it's not going to make that big of a difference. Which in the grand scheme of things, you were probably right. But in that moment, it felt like, right? Because it's just like, if you're a struggling filmmaker and you're trying to do better and you want things to look good, and then the person who you're doing it with is being like, it doesn't matter. And I'm being like, bro, this is the only thing that matters to me, right? Like, but realistically, like I said, I think that I would go back and I would say that, like, put more effort into how you treat the guest, how you approach the episode. What are we talking about? Be present, listen to what they're saying. I would go back and I would put more effort into that than I would into how the angle on my phone looked with a fucking lapel mic that wasn't even going to be good anyway. Right?
Yeah.
So it's kind of like, in some ways, the opposite end of the coin, right? Which is,
you know what the weird thing is that my mindset is the same as like Steve's. Okay.
Yeah.
Hey, let's just see what happens here.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And my business partner, Christian, is like, well, let's have some structure.
Yeah.
So it's kind of odd, right? Because he has to bring me back sometimes. Like, hey, like, you've worked with me, you've seen it too. You know what I mean?
yeah, you're always just like, fuck it, do it, man.
Exactly. So it's because at the same point though, it's not always a good way of doing things, but sometimes it does give me an area to start with, because either I'm too much and I want everything perfected before it's even started, and sometimes that rolls into life. We don't start things because it's already not perfect or it's already not whatever, right? But then I go too far on the other end of like, yo, if I could just, and then somebody's like, well, dude, look, let's tighten this bolt. Let's tighten this one here. Let's do, like, it's got to look at least like this. I'm like, oh.
You're about to sit on a couch where you just put the screws in and didn't screw.
Yeah. It looks good. It looks good. Okay. But it's not structurally made for you to sit on.
Yeah.
So sometimes Christian brings me back into that, and he says, you know, I think we should have more of a structure of what we're going to basis of. We're going to do, you know, top 5, top 10, or we're going to talk about 3. Let's spend, 15 minutes on this, 20 minutes on that, because we don't want our audience to, sit there for 2 hours when it's only football, because you'll tap out quick. Let's make the point here. These are stats. This is football. It's different.
Talking about pancakes from this left tackle for 37 minutes.
Yeah. It's not even a stat.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? So it's he brings me back to earth, just like how probably you bring him back to earth. And
But I mean, vice versa too. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah, exactly. And sometimes
our version of Earth might be a little different sometimes, right?
Yeah, you're a flat earther, aren't you? But no, I get it. And sometimes I need that. And sometimes when Christian's like, hey, X, Y, and Z, I'll be like, dude, don't worry about it. I'll take care of it. Like, it's good. Yeah, but I want it to be. I got it. Like, you got enough on your plate. Like, just chill out. I'll take care of it. So it's a give and take. I think you guys understand that too.
Absolutely.
So it's a lot to take in sometimes, knowing that you're doing this, I'll say, this business dance with somebody else. You're working the schedule with somebody else. You talk to the person every day. And I think I've lost track of knowing that he's one of my best friends now too. It's not just a business partner. He becomes a best friend. You're talking to him every day, but every day he's like, you good today? Yeah, I'm good. Sound a little, just like you guys said, sometimes it's, fuck the episode. Are you good?
Yeah.
Maybe it's not time to do an episode. Maybe it's time to chill out, sit together, talk over some shit, because we come first before the episode. There would be no episode without us. And without our minds being fully there, you're going to get half-assed material, half-assed quality. So we got to make sure we're, taking care of each other as business partners as well. So, and friends.
Yeah. I think in a lot of ways, this has been a very, we did exactly what we set out to do, which is, I don't think we gave any necessarily like technical advice.
Probably not, no.
But on how to, maybe more specifically, like, what's it like to start something creative with someone who's your friend, or someone who's growing to be your friend, right?
Yeah.
Like your take on it is you've been friends with this guy for a couple of years and you met because of the thing that brought you together.
Yeah.
Versus him and I have been friends since we were in middle school. And the only reason why we have this now is because of that half of our lives knowing each other. More than that.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
And then
it's interesting too, I would say, when somebody comes up to you with a blueprint of how they want to do a business and they ask you, hey, do you want to tag team this with me? And it's like, there's a certain honor in that. Mm-hmm. That means somebody sees you as valid. Somebody sees you as worthy. Somebody sees you as somewhat, driven, intelligent, whatever it might be. My question was the same as when somebody asked me to be a part of their wedding. Why? That goes back to insecurity. If we're being real, okay, that goes back to insecurity. Why me? But he brought it to the table and he said, yo, I want to do X, Y, and Z. You have this vision. I have that vision. We can bounce off of each other. And he's like, dude, we've been doing it already. We just haven't made it a business. And I'm like, shit, you're right. He's like, yeah. We talk like every other day. We discuss football stats all the time. We do X, Y, and Z. Yeah, we could probably put this on a video. Yeah, okay, got it. Like, you overthink it. You know what I mean? But then it's just kind of like when he told me that, my mom does legal paperwork for this kind of stuff. She's an accountant too. So it's all that. Don't worry about that part. Oh. Because I remember I had to do that for Iconical.
Yeah, I remember that. Yeah.
It's kind of like it's
a never ending. Yeah.
Yeah. But I'm like, wait, I don't have to take care of that? Like, yeah, dude.
Now I have all this space to go and learn how to edit or whatever it is.
3 minutes or 3 days later, he's just like, yeah, that's done. That paperwork's done. That's already back. We're legalized. Wait, what?
Yeah.
That love-hate relationship, we're like, I hate that you can do that so fast, but I love that you got it done. Like,
yeah.
You know what I mean?
What's the next thing? Yeah.
You can just move on. I'm like, oh, okay. So this is what it's like to have a healthy partner that helps you get moving and grooving. So it's, that's, and I think you guys have been, tearing that apart. I think every episode you do, you just kind of open up another box, and challenge each other. And I think that's something that other podcasters and business people can learn off of too. So
yeah. Anything else you want to say before we wrap this up?
No.
Got it.
Fair enough. All right.
No,
thanks.
I think we had a pretty good detailed.
Yeah, this has been good. Yeah,
detailed
good
podcast.
That's what I expected. Yeah.
I mean, I will say this: if people are into football and you do want to follow it, you guys wanted me to put a drop on there, but it would be Top Dog coverage. It's on everything: YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, TikTok. It's basically everything. So if you're into that, and I will be jumping back into Iconical with different interviews again, trying to upgrade the quality of that, and trying to make the plan B the plan A now. That's, I don't want to work for the man. I want to work for, me.
Yeah.
So that's
the man.
The man.
Yeah.
So, yeah. I mean, and I would say if anybody has questions on, how to do certain stuff like this or how to get the quality out of a podcast, to, contact you guys, or even Bryce, or even myself. You know what I mean? I don't have all the answers to all that stuff, but for questions and stuff like that, I'm really into the interview part. You guys know more of that quality of technical as well, not just the interviewing part. And we always bounce ideas off each other. So I would say if people ever want to start a podcast, look for this. And really pay attention to this for interviewing, and then always dive into your guys' stuff even more with cameras, microphones, all that stuff. You guys talk about that stuff, so
yeah, tell your own story.
Yeah,
It's more interesting than you think.
it really is.
Yeah.
Somebody has a similar story that they can't get out, and they're afraid to talk about it.
Yeah.
And they could be a hero to the person next to them because you were a hero on a microphone.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good spot to end it right there. That was good. Thanks, Brian.
Who thought we'd be here?
Who thought we'd be here? Not me, sir.
All right.